Lee Smith.
And Jane Johnston from Blood and Iron Martial Arts. Today we're reviewing the Absolute Force fencing mask because we've had a lot of requests to do a mask review. So this is going to be our first one. Hopefully you like it and the AF is something that you're looking into getting. But in terms of first impressions, the nice thing that I really like about the AFs is that they come in two options. They come with and without the overlay, which I find really helpful because then you don't have to muck around with a separate overlay to put over your mask or anything like that. It's done, it's there for you, and I really like that. Straight out of the packaging, it also seems super sturdy. It seems like a well-built mask and like it's gonna last, so that's nice too.
Honestly, it's a strong mask. Some of these masks have been multiple competitions for over 3 years, so I'm pretty impressed with the durability of this particular, of the actual mesh itself. The mesh is very strong, undoubtedly maybe one of the strongest masks in HEMA, which is pretty awesome to say, but at the same time, you know, I don't really like the dog ears too much. They're kind of a funny thing. And the back of the head flap, although, you know, it's not really that protective, you could put hard plates into them. However, those are my two issues right off the bat. On this mask, obviously the only real break-in is maybe sometimes the lining, but usually the bib's fairly stiff. But in about a month that breaks in. Same with that, the bib on that could be stiff as well. The ears on the older ones with the big dog ears, sometimes they would inhibit movement. On the shorter ones, we don't have that problem. And sometimes the back flap, and when it's newer, can stick on the back of your jacket and cause kind of strange problems. Other than that, like for what you pay for, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so we're finding with the break-in period, it's about 1 to 2 months so that the bib and the lining and all that loosens up. It is a little bit longer with the overlay one just because there's more material to deal with, but that's to be expected. Overall, yeah, about 1 to 2 months and then you're good to go with these masks. Especially if you're wearing them with a jacket, it's going to loosen them up faster. So in terms of things we like, I personally love the fact that it does come in two options, the with overlay and without, because when you go to tournaments and stuff like that, you have to have back of the head protection. So the fact that it's built in and there's even some extra cushioning is really, really nice. But if you're not the kind of person that wants that all the time, there's also the lighter mask and then you don't have to deal with a separate piece of overlay. So I really like that it gives you the option. The other thing that I really like about this mask is the mesh. It's super, super strong. Like we've got this mask that has been beaten up for years and years. And as you can tell, it's like ripped up all the way along here.
Whose mask is that?
This is Sean's mask. He should probably protect his head more.
Yeah, he should definitely protect his head.
It looks pretty bad. But the nice thing about this is even if he gets hit in the head a lot, the mesh itself is still in really good shape. And he's not really at any risk of needing a new mask or being hurt because it's not good enough for him. So it is super tough mesh.
That's also what I like about it too. These masks are exceptionally tough, especially the mesh part. I mean, there's people here who've been fencing their masks who go to multiple tournaments a year and they're still going strong, like 3-4 years. That's a tough mask. Even this variety of mask here, we have these as our loaner masks. And I mean, some of them have lasted. They're starting to die out after about 4 years. But 4 years of intensive fencing and like daily use, it's a pretty good piece of sports equipment throughout sports.
It's doing okay.
Yeah, it's doing good. So things we'd like to see changed. A tougher lining for one. A couple of our students had problems when the lining actually tore in these masks here. Not so much in these ones, but this particular style HEMA mask, where a hard blow caused the lining to rip and then a waffling happened on the face. So I would like to see that changed and a back of the head protection reinforced, more of like a segmented one, like a spec style one, or even a spec style hard back of the protection you see on PBT masks or on other HEMA masks like the Giardonis.
For me, some of the things I'd like to see changed is in the one without the overlay. I find they can loosen up too much over time. So the bib, the lining, even the Velcro and the flap on the back, it all kind of loosens up to the point where it moves around when you're fighting. And then that can cause problems, of course, if you take a blow and your mask isn't fitting properly. Again, though, that is on masks that we've had for more than a few years. So it takes quite some time to get to that point, but it is something to point out. The other thing is that the built-in overlay can be a bit restrictive. On the older models like Sean's that I showed earlier, that one comes down a little lower than on this mask. But even on these ones, moving your head around, especially when you're wearing a fencing jacket, isn't always the best thing. So it may be worth looking into a different overlay if you're not into that sort of thing, or figuring out whether this is something that'll work for you first. That's more of a personal preference thing, but still worth mentioning. So overall, I do think this is a really good mask. I do recommend both of them, whether you like a lighter mask without the overlay, or if you're looking for something for tournament or just a little bit beefier, with the overlay is really good too, and then you don't have to worry about getting a separate overlay for your mask. I think both of them are really tough. They're sturdy masks, and overall, I think they're worth the price, and they're worth looking into at least if you're going to get a new mask soon.
Like, honestly, it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I recommend them to our students because really it's especially these ones are pretty much all-in-one feature. They basically put them on, doesn't take a lot of break-in time, and for price, like, they're good. They really are. However, our more senior students and like myself, we use a much more expensive mask. We need to have something a bit more higher quality, but that's at least twice the price point. So.
Yeah, so getting these from Purple Heart, you're going to be looking at about $109 USD. Dark Age Creations in Canada sells them as well, and you can also just go directly through Absolute Force for these guys. But in terms of our rating, we're going to do 1 thumb up because it does have a few things that we don't love, a few things we'd like to see changed, but overall we do recommend them. They are good masks. So 1 thumb is what the Absolute Force fencing mask gets from us.
Yep, 1 thumb.
Yep. So that's been our review on the AF masks. If you want to see any other reviews, had any questions, let us know in the comments, and hopefully you have more recommendations for other reviews we can do. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. I don't think it'll stop a bullet.